Hello. Some people call me Mother Earth, which is lovely, but my real name is Wangari Maathai. I'm proud to be the first ever woman to receive the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2004 for my contribution for this planet Earth. I was born into the Kikuyu tribe on the 1st of April 1940 when Kenya was a British colony. My family were farmers who lived in a mud-walled house and in a village near Nyeri near the base of Mount Kenya. We all had no electricity, running water or indoor bathroom, so when I helped collect water and grow vegetables, I noticed how the life cycles of frog spawn, tadpoles, frogs, the plants, trees and birds were all connected and codependent for survival. Most girls didn't go to school, but my parents allowed me to go. When I was 20, I had such an amazing opportunity. I won a scholarship to study a degree in biology in Kansas, America, selected as part of the John F. Kennedy Airlift Scheme. It was to help Kenya manage their own country after the British left. My parents were sad I was leaving, but really proud. I always remembered their advice and the stories I'd been told by my grandmother. What a shock it was to arrive in Kansas, USA in 1960. The racism! It was about the same time that Martin Luther King was speaking up and protesting. I heard John F. Kennedy helped him out of jail. What a good man. Well, guess what? I was the first woman from Central or Eastern Africa to ever earn a PhD in science. Most of the male students coming home to Kenya found jobs easily, but eventually I got a job as the assistant to the director of the Veterinary Anatomy Department at the University of Nairobi. Anyway, after I got married and had children, I did become the actual director in 1971. Trees have always been important to me in both my life and studies. My mother always said, a tree is worth more than its wood, especially the fig tree. My grandmother told me stories about nature, and through her stories I learned to become emboldened and unbowed like a tree. But the British had damaged Kenya's natural resources, but now my own people were doing just the same to grow more profitable cash crops. I knew that the poverty was linked to losing the water and soil, and knew I had to do something to help. I had an idea to save Kenya one tree at a time. The deforestation was making the people ill. I listened to the women in different villages and explained my thinking. The women all said, "We're walking too far for water. We need clean water. We need food. We're walking too far for firewood to cook our food. We need shelter. We need medicine for our sick children. We have no money. We have no status. The British registered our houses in the names of our men." So I spoke to Mother Earth around me for help and listened. She said, "In the beginning, I gave everyone clean water, healthy plants and animals, so you will all have to pull together to solve this." I replied to the women, "Peace to my people. Why not plant trees and save the rivers from soil erosion? The fig tree will help clean and retain the water. And plant berry trees for food. Trees will also protect you and your animals, and you can start cooking again, using the sticks, and feed your sick children." The women said they didn't know how to, so we collected seeds and I gave them small amounts of money for growing saplings. From little seedlings, it all grew into the Green Belt movement. We set up cooperatives managed by the women themselves, giving them economic independence. However, it wasn't all easy. My husband divorced me because he said I committed adultery, but that was a lie. For him, I was too educated, too successful, too hard to control. I stood up to him and he didn't like it. It was hard work looking after my children too and doing my job. So I spoke to Mother Earth again. She said, "Be like your trees, sway in the wind but stand firm. Your branches remain unbowed and unbroken. Look to your ancestral roots standing strong in this earth. Pass your stories to your sisters and daughters. Help look after your Mother Earth. My trees are symbols of peace and hope. Your love will always trump fear. I knew the love in my heart for the trees, the women and Mother Earth would always guide me. But of course, being divorced, they froze me out of my job. So I reinvented myself as a campaigner. Again, I turned to Mother Earth. Mother Earth said, Wangari, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal with steps becomes a plan. And a plan with action becomes a reality. Get to work, my girl. Our Kenya's president didn't like me because he was privatising forests and national parks and selling it for housing and leisure. We protested and he mocked and intimidated us, calling me a crazy divorcee woman in the press, even though I had international recognition and honours for my work. So I wrote to United Nations and the press, including Robert Maxwell, who was sponsoring it, saying, would you build in your own Hyde Park? If not, then why are you supporting it in my country? Worried about the publicity, the investment funding was withdrawn, which really upset our Kenyan President Moi. So I protested his dictatorship rule, which was letting capitalism and business interfere with environmental issues. I organised demonstrations in the park and went to prison many times. It was hard, but I still looked to Mother Earth for courage and strength. Well, you can read more of my story, but over the years I've been beaten, imprisoned, knocked unconscious, threatened, been in court for the sake of democracy, the environment, and equal rights. It's wonderful when you don't have fear, and a lot of the time I didn't. I focused on what needed to be done instead. I had done nothing wrong. We could either dig and plant a tree or dig our own graves. This was now about government policy, capitalism, corruption, greed, and mismanagement of resources. We needed to empower poor people from the grassroots upwards. I see it like an African stool with 3 legs. Without 1 or 2 legs, the stool falls over. Those legs are democracy and respect for human rights, fair and sustainable management of our resources, and a will for peace. Only then can the poor feed themselves and grow like our new saplings in the forest. Always I turned to Mother Earth for strength. She said, my Earth won't survive unless all 3 regain their equal status. You don't need to be a good girl to men. You need only to serve my universe. So what did I do? I put myself forward in elections. Well, to cut a long story short, after all that blood, sweat and tears, you'd never guess, but I ended up Deputy Minister for the Environment for the government. So at 64, well, I was on a roll then. I won the Nobel Peace Prize for my contribution to sustainable development, democracy and peace. The first African woman in the world to receive the prize. My parents would have been so proud. Looking back, I found myself not just a woman wanting to plant trees to provide wood and firewood. I found myself a woman fighting for justice, a woman fighting for equity. I started planting trees in the forest and found myself fighting for the restoration of democracy in my country. In 2011, I died of cancer at the age of 71, being remembered as one of Africa's most important ecologists. Please look out for my Mama Miti stories for children. They are the ones my grandmother told me. So what now? My work hasn't finished. Now it's over to you. What next?